So you're watching these cash stuffing videos, you're following all these people, you're seeing people save all this money, pay off all their debt, and you are wondering, what is cash stuffing? Let's start from the beginning. Why should I be doing it? How do I do it? If you have questions, I'm hoping I have some answers today, so let's get right into it. So I want to start off by saying that we do have some new faces here. My subscribers are going up. I love each and every one of you. I think it's so cool that I'm not doing this journey on my own here. I am a little bit about me. I am a 32-year-old cash budgeter and stuffer from Canada. I do also follow the zero-based budget, and we can also get into that and talk more about what the zero-based budget is after we start with cash stuffing. We have a lot of new faces. If anyone's starting from the beginning and wanting to know just the basics, why are we doing this? How is it beneficial? What are some pros and cons? What are my categories? We're going to talk about stuff like that today. So the first burning question is, what is cash stuffing? So cash stuffing is a cash-based budgeting method, also known as the envelope system. So you may have heard of people doing this back to several years ago. It did start as the envelope system, the envelope budgeting system. It has lots of different names. But savers write each of their monthly budget categories onto an envelope and stuff them with the amount of money they've allotted for the month. So when you hear of a cash stuffer saying they're stuffing their envelopes, they're just putting money into it. There's a lot of terms that might be big and scary and like you haven't heard them before, but I promise it's not as intimidating as it may seem. So the goal is, once you run out of cash in each envelope for each category you make, you are done spending for the month or until the next time you stuff. So a little note I have here is you do not need a fancy setup to start. If you want to put some cash in a little white envelope, like a regular mailing envelope, that works. Write something on it. If you want to use mason jars, if you want to use drawers in your kitchen, if you can use anything, you can put them in little baggies, anything that keeps your money separated and you're able to identify what that money is for. Are you still with me? So the pros and cons of cash stuffing. The pros are, my main pro is that it keeps you intentional with your money. In order to do cash stuffing, you need to have a budget because you need to know how much is going into each envelope. So you need to know what's coming in and going out of your account and when. And that's like one of the biggest parts of this, okay? Because I know it's happened to you. It's happened to me so many times. You wake up in the morning, you check your bank account for whatever reason, and some random amount of money came out that you were not expecting, you weren't ready for, because you don't know when your bills come out. You just kind of hope that the money's in there for it. You get paid, you leave the money in your account, and you hope that your bills are covered. But this way, you know what's coming in, you know what's going out, you know what it's for. So that being intentional that way just makes you aware of everything. So being focused and paying attention will also help you pay off debt faster. You will see so many examples all across YouTube and other social media platforms where people have started cash stuffing and they were able to pay off all their debt, pay off their home, pay off their car. The cons are, the big one is that it's way easier to use your bank card or your debit card when you are out shopping or spending money on something, ordering something online, stuff like that. But I could also argue that this is a pro, because if I'm scrolling Amazon late at night and I want to purchase something, immediately my thoughts are, do I have money in my envelopes for this purchase? And if the answer is a no, then that's at least a deterrent to not use my credit card or my bank card. Another con would be several bank trips. So I personally get paid weekly, so I make at least once a week trip to the bank to take out my money for cash stuffing. And then I also unstuff at the end of the month to pay my bills for the next month. So that's another trip to the bank at the end of the month. There's also going to be large sums of money in your home. Once you start doing this and you have some savings accrued, that money will be in your home, which can be dangerous. Like, you don't want anyone knowing you have all kinds of money in your home. One way around that would be to have a safe in your home. Keep the money in your binder, in your safe. So even if someone does break into your home, they will not have access to your funds. Another con would be that your money is not earning interest if it's kept in your home. If you have a high yield savings account and you keep all of your money in a high yield savings account, for example, your money does make money. So I think the one that I have, it's a high yield savings account. Anything above $5,000 is going to make money. So this is why you will often see what people call placeholders in cash stuffers envelopes. So this just means they get to a large amount in their envelope. Maybe they're saving for their daughter to go to college. Their daughter is 15, they're saving for their daughter to go to college. They have about $5,000 in this envelope saved up. They're like, wow, this is a crap ton of money. I don't really want this in my envelope in my home. What if there was a fire? There's so many reasons not to keep it in your home. You can put that money into a high yield savings account and use a placeholder that just says $5,000. So that just indicates I have $5,000 in this category, but it is in the bank account because it's safer that way. Okay, so I know what cash stuffing is. But how do I know when I'm supposed to stuff my money? Do I do it weekly? Do I do it monthly? So personally, I think the best way is to stuff based on your paychecks. So if you get paid bi-weekly, you would take out your money bi-weekly. So every payday, you're taking out all of your money. If you get paid monthly, you can stuff monthly. And again, this is going to change whether if you're doing the zero-based budgeting method, you're going to take out all of your money and make every dollar do a job in some category. If you're not doing the zero-based budgeting, you just take out the money that you're deciding to stuff and stuffing that accordingly. So the most important part of that is to know what you'll be stuffing for, what you're going to leave in the bank. So are you going to stuff for your bills, for instance? Are you going to stuff for upcoming rent, upcoming car insurance, car payments, or are you going to pay your bills online and then take out the money and stuff only your savings? Personally, I am a month ahead with my bills. So for the month of January, I get 4 paychecks. And each paycheck is going to pay part of my bills for the next month. So if my rent is $700 a month for February, I know that I have 4 paychecks in January to pay that off. So I know that I need to stuff $175 from each paycheck in order to make rent for next month. If you decide not to do it that way, a lot of people choose to pay their bills online, keep their bills money, their fixed expenses in the bank, and just pull out the variable expenses, their savings. It's totally up to you. You need to find the way that works best for you, what's going to work for you and help you save money, help you track your money. Another example for variable expenses for groceries, a lot of people have a groceries envelope where they use that money to buy groceries throughout the week, throughout the month. We personally buy groceries on the exact same day as cash stuffing day, and I often do it before I do our cash stuffing. So I leave my $200 for groceries in the bank account so that when I go to the grocery store, I just use my card. I know I only have $200, and then I come home, I cash stuff the rest of my money, and Bob's your uncle. So another complaint for this system is people saying, oh man, Erin, I really don't want to use cash for everything. Like, using cash for everything is the worst, and the money's dirty, and it's so much easier to use your card. There are 2 methods for the cash stuffing system. So the first method is, yes, you are going to use your cash for everything. You keep track of amounts you're keeping in your bank account for bills, debt, anything, any other online payments, and you skip the cash aspect for these, which means you'll only use cash when spending. So if you go to the store, you're bringing your envelopes with you. Be careful when you're doing this because If you are leaving money in your account for bills, you need to make sure that that money is not taken for another expense. So I know it's happened to you because it's happened to me. Again, you check your account and holy cow, $200 came out for some random thing that I forgot all about, some expense. So the key here is to make sure you're tracking everything that's coming in, going out, when it's going to come in, when it's going to go out. You really need to have a solid budget if you want to make this work best for you. The second method is no, you do not need to use your cash to spend. The second method is no, you do not need to use your cash when you're spending. This is the method that I go by. So I keep money in our envelopes, but I use my credit card or my bank card while I'm spending. I keep track of the expenses, what I'm buying. And then at the end of the month, I pull from the envelopes. So if I spent $100 throughout the month on clothing, but I know that I have that $100 in my clothing envelope, I'll pull that out and pay myself back. So you're consistently, this is a good way to build credit too. If you're using your credit card in this way and you're pulling at the end of each month and paying off your credit card, what you're spending, that's revolving credit. They really like to see that. So there's two different ways that you can do that. So now, how do you know what categories you should have? So again, this is so tailored to your life, your spending. I'm going to do a bigger video on how to use your bank account to figure out how to set up your budget, how to set up your cash stuffing envelope. Let me know below if that's something you would like to see. You're going to use the last 3 months of your bank statements to get your average of what you're spending. So in the last 3 months, in December, I spent $500 on groceries. In November, I spent $400 on groceries. And in October, I spent $500 on groceries. You're going to get the average of those 3 months, and that's relatively what you're spending per month. So another thing that you can do with this is you can plan to spend less than your norm, or you can budget for your exact amount. So if you know you're spending $200 a month on eating out and you're like, that's not acceptable, I don't have the money for that, you can allot yourself the money and say, here's $100 a month for eating out. Or you could look at your budget and say, you know what, it's not really affecting much, $200 is fine, you could keep that amount. So some of the things that you can stuff for are bills, debt, and fixed expenses. So rent, car payments, insurance, any of your subscriptions like Netflix, Disney Plus. Again, things like these, you might choose to keep the money in your account and use placeholders or just track it on a spreadsheet where your money is going, or you can stuff for your next month's expenses. Fixed expenses is just a term that is used for expenses that are going to come out the exact same amount, the exact same every day, every month. It doesn't matter how much you use the service. It doesn't matter if you don't use it at all. Variable expense are things that are going to fluctuate. It could go up and down. So groceries or gas, we try and keep, now that I've been doing this for a while, we try and keep a limit on our groceries. I know that I shouldn't spend more than $200 each paycheck on our groceries. I did just up that to $250 because things have changed, expenses are going up, so you need to be willing to fluctuate with the economy, fluctuate with your expenses. If you get a new pet, of course, you're going to have new expenses for that. But variable expenses are going to go up and down. Gas, you might not spend the same amount each month on it. Eating out, self-care are other good examples of that. So again, you could look at your last 3 months of expenses and say, holy cow, I spent $1,000 on self-care for myself. Next month, I'm going to plan to just spend a couple $100. So another thing that people stuff for is their savings. So there are a few different ways to stuff for your savings. Some people have short-term and long-term savings. So short-term savings, again, this is all dependent on how often you use this money, what you use the money for. Short-term savings could be clothing, it could be birthdays, Christmas, things that you know you're going to spend the money for within the next couple of months. Long-term savings, I'm thinking more a down payment for a house, a new car, something that it's going to take you a while to save up for. So an example of my long-term savings, I have an envelope for each of the kids. They are 11 and 10 now. So I have an envelope started for if they need things like braces. They're going to want a vehicle when they're 16 and get their license. They might, when they're 20, they might call and say, holy crap, Dad, I can't pay rent this month. Like, can you help me? I want to have long-term savings, but that's why I'm starting now, because they're still young. But I don't have thousands of dollars to throw into this account right away. So you start slow and you save over the long term. Another example of different savings that people have are low priority and high priority. So it's not always short term and long term. It could be low priority and high priority. So your low priority could be things like, it depends what's important to you. So it could be things like self-care. Like, I'd love to get my hair done every 8 weeks, but if it's not in the budget, I can't plan for it. High priority are the envelopes you usually stuff first. So those could be things like birthdays, Christmas. You know you're going to need the money for them. Low priority could also be things like trips, just extra, anything that is bonus. So personally, if we know we have our bills, debt, fixed expenses, and our variable expenses paid for, I'm good. The rest is gravy. So it would be nice at Christmas time to have $500 set aside in our savings account, but if we don't have it, at least we're still getting by. We're still paying our bills. Nobody's in the red. So now you're thinking, okay, Erin, I'm ready. I've heard what you said. I've done my research. I've watched the YouTube videos. I like what you're saying. I'm ready to start. And now what? Now what do I do? So this is where I'm going to pause here, and we're going to make another video talking about where to start, how to get your bank statements, what you're going to do with them, what you're going to need, how you're going to budget out your money, how you're going to set up your binders. We are starting fresh. It is 2024. We are going to save money this year. We are going to make sure our bills are paid. We are going to be intentional with every single dollar that comes out of our account. If you found this information helpful and you want to continue this series to figure out the basics and where to start, please consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the little bell, because that will notify you when a new video is uploaded. I love hanging out with you guys. I love that you're here. Let me know in the comments what else I could chat about, what you want to learn more about, and let's just start from the beginning. We'll talk soon. Bye.